Services. 65. Age 20. 17. Receive services from the employee. 72. Okay, so I need a motion to approve from regular. Second. Any additions, revisions, corrections? With none, favor approval of the board minute, say aye. Opposed, say nay. No abstentions, minutes are approved. Now we have recognition of retirees. Honey Bolton, the Rex Supervisor.
Good evening, board. We have 3 retirees we'd like to recognize this evening. First retiree, Bonnie Blake, could not be with us, but she did retire at the end of November with 30 years of service. Bonnie was bus driver in our transportation department, so we wish her many years of health and happiness in her retirement. Amy Anderson is up next.
So tonight I have the pleasure of Susan Barlow. So Susan, pleasure of working with her when she was a training coordinator in the Adult Services Program prior to her becoming SSA. She has always gone above and beyond helping individuals, families, and providers. She is the kind of person who never says no, always helps her coworkers, and gives her best every day. So I want to take this opportunity to thank Susan for giving the board 24 years of service. So thank you, Susan.
Amy, thank you.
It was to be here today. She was able to make it. But I just wanted to say things about Pam. Pam was just a few shy of 25 years of service for the board. And on behalf of extend my appreciation for the amazing work she's done. I had the opportunity to accompany Pam on her bus and her ability to comfort support and show respect to road young adults. You could tell she was passionate, but she was doing what she strived to do. It's impossible to overstate how valuable she had been to our team, and I appreciate what she did for the people she served with. I want to thank her for her service and wish her the best of her.
Thank you. Retirees, to all the retirees, on behalf of the board, thank you for your service. RPD, we wish you happiness and health. At this time, entertain anyone for public speaks. So, speaks. Under the president's report. We've got quite a packed agenda this evening, as you mentioned, as is typical for the last meeting of the year. In our board documents, we've got a draft of the 2022 schedule. It's in our board books, and that has us scheduled the last Tuesday of each month, except for December. Please let me know if you'd like to see any adjustments, and if there are none, we can adopt it during the organizational next month. Another board business, Katrina, our board evaluation as well as our self-evaluations after this complete and submit to Katrina's by January 14th. We'll do a review of them. Committee assignments will stay the same for the first meeting of the year. This committee is to meet Tuesday, January 18th, and personnel committee Friday 1st. Organizational and board meetings are scheduled Tuesday, January 20th. You may have seen it. Seen the retirement of Jeff Davis, civil service training. February. We wish him well in his retirement. That will conclude the president's report.
Good evening. The last board meeting of 2021, it's really hard to see. It's also hard to believe, everything that has occurred this year. It really has been an amazing year that we really were. It's certainly a pressure cooker from really kind of start to end. All of us for reasons. But I really want to just highlight some of the important people that we served and acknowledge that we served 3,680 people in 2020. We did this through early intervention where we served 629 families. In preschool, we served 49 preschoolers on IEPs, 98 students in a school age program. We transported over 61 students between 2 school years. Our SSA department supported 2,870 people, ages 3 to over 80 years old. You approved a 3-year strategic plan, and we are now completing year 1 of it. And we will have a progress report for you in January. So kind of find the accomplishments and what we got to do. We enrolled 110 new people on home and community-based service waivers, giving them a lifetime of financial support. We investigated 884 incidents that affect health and safety to date. We completed 93 RN quality assessments and 39 provider compliance reviews and issued 84 citations to providers. We provided direct cash payments to over 500 families that take advantage of our family support programs to assist their sons and daughters to go to camps or buy things that they need. And one unique thing that we didn't see coming, but it came to us, and we were able to partner with the Stark County Health Department. We continue to be a vaccination or booster site for them. But in talking to Kirk Norris today, the health commissioner, He said, Bill, he said, it just blows me away, but at your site, 67,000 people came and got the vaccine. So, it's inconceivable that that many people have come through our doors. We had over 50 of our staff volunteer in those clinics. Our nurses were side by side with the health department nurses and actually administering the vaccines for a good portion of the spring clinics, and it was just monumental feat. Huge kudos to the health department, nurse and staff. They did just an amazing job, and we could share our resources here just in our business plans. So 67,000 people just still blows me away. So when we sum all this together and kind of look at what does that tell us, it really tells us really what we know is that we're a trusted partner that thousands of people rely on. We provide vital services and high quality supports to an ever increasing number of people across their lifespan. And it also tells us we are continuously in pursuit of new and inventive strategies so we can be an efficient and responsible community partner. And all of this helps us with our very mission of supporting choices and creating opportunities for people with disabilities and families. So just as we finish the year, I thought it was just good just to do a 30,000-mile flyover, just look at the number of people we support, how we do it, and how we came this year alongside one of our community partners to help our community as well. So that typically would end the superintendent's report, but guess what? There's more. There's more. So we do have to do our MUI training review. So this is mandated for all employees and board members that we do this once a year. It'll be a short kind of overview. I did really plug our numbers into kind of the framework of what needs to be taught. So or reviewed. So go ahead and do that. So major unusual incident, alleged, suspected, or actual occurrence incident that affects the health and safety of someone and so forth. There are three categories of incidents, and they fall into A, B, and C. A being the most intense investigation needed and requires either substantiation or unsubstantiation. 19 types of incidents, and all incidents require an immediate action upon us becoming aware and investigating an investigation to determine the cause and contributing factors, and then a prevention plan to reduce likelihood of future events. And that's all kind of incorporated into the individual service plan. So that's kind of just a nice overview, and we'll take down just a little more in regards to not only us, but where most of the incidents fall. So most reported MUI is unscheduled hospitalizations, which represents a third of all incidents. It's nearly 6,000 reported statewide. We had 259 thus far, and that represents about 29%. So we fall right very close to the statewide average for these incidents. Most significant reasons for admission: infection, pneumonia. This year was COVID-19, so that wasn't even the previous year. It was for 2021, just saw more hospitalizations because of COVID-19, and also exacerbation of people with psychiatric symptoms. There was quite a few psychiatric admissions this past year that were unscheduled. Second most reported MUI is significant injury. 1,818 occurring in the state. We had 69 incidents here in Stark County. Significant injury, broken bone, fiber more sutures, dislocation, something that's casted. And a good portion of those unfortunately related to falls. And closely related. Third most reported MUI is unapproved behavior supports. There were 268 incidents, and we had 101 incidents here in Stark County. Unapproved behavior support is a restraint that's used that is not in a plan, hasn't been approved by the Human Rights Committee, or received guardian approval. So not all of them are inappropriate. Some are completed to ensure someone's safety. And then the team goes back and looks to see if it's something that does need to be. I said there was 19 different types of incidents. Category A incidents are those listed on your left. Accidental or suspicious deaths, alleged physical abuse, sexual abuse, verbal abuse, alleged neglect, exploitation, failure to report. So I'm aware of something where someone was harmed, but I keep my mouth shut, and then someone detects it. You know, that would be a failure to report on me. As you can see, we had 38 in our county, and we had 11 in our county, and the majority of them were substantiated, 82%. Misappropriation, prohibited sexual relations, we didn't have any of those. We did have 3 rights code violations. Rights code violation, there's a person with disabilities Bill of Rights, and if any of those are infringed on, that would be reported as and those include freedom of religion, ability to eat what you want, when you want, associate who you want, to get treatment. So that obviously needs to be investigated substantially. So we did have 88 incidents of alleged physical abuse. We had over 20% substantiated. So it's out to be about 35 incidents. I want to also say here, alleged neglect, all these category A, we also do refer them to the sheriff's office and our detective, and he usually does a joint investigation until he determines there's no activity. For any child under 18 years old, alleged neglect or really any of these, there's a requirement also to contact Children's Services, and we defer to them on who investigates. Sometimes they will take over the investigation, or sometimes they'll leave it to us. Any questions here on category A? Category, yes.
What's misappropriation? I didn't understand what that is.
Yeah, misappropriation is someone takes something of a person we serve, whether it's money, possessions, clothing. Yeah, so it's usually money, typically. Yeah, thank you for that question and clarification. Category B incidents, attempted suicide, medical emergency, missing person, deaths that are suspicious or accidental, peer-to-peer acts that would be sexual misappropriation, physical abuse, verbal abuse, investigated here, and then significant injuries as well. Just want to make a note in regards to the medical emergency. There's 445 medical emergencies reported in the state. We've had 23, and choking relief remains the highest life-saving measure. That's in 81% of the incidents, not only statewide, but here in the county. So the Heimlich usually clears it, but then but that was interesting. We look at your trends. The final category of incident is law enforcement. So if an individual is charged, arrested, or incarcerated, that will fall under here. As you see, we have 28 today that have charged arrested. And we have just a few are incarcerated too. So unanticipated hospitalization, and you see that large number, 259, and then other people so forth as well. So when we put A, B, and C together, that makes up the 19 incidents that this rule captures. And for you all, so if you know of an incident, you concerned about someone, you certainly can call our MUI hotline anonymously. We are, it's 330-477-4477. Or you can call me or a management team member and we can enter the incident. So that is kind of our overview of our MUI system. And really, what does it mean to you? So if you know something, you know, it's either report it to a hotline or report it to me and we'll get it. Okay. Any questions? We'll say just when you look at Ohio's reporting system, I mean, it is very, very sophisticated and proven over time. It really is, and it is. It works every day to ensure that when incidents occur, that the work is done to reduce the future likelihood. Thank you so much.
I just want to compliment you and the team that started D&D working amazing work. You all have done to keep our families safe from COVID. Just a health department, and every one of you stepped up big time this year. Was wonderful.
We have a great team.
Yes, we
We
do.
really do. It's humbling the number of just wonderful people that we get to work with every day.
Okay, thank you. That concludes the superintendent's report. The committee and department reports are in the work packet. Are there any additions or deletions that need to be made at this time? With none, this time we will have a review of policy slated for first reading on the book presented policies.
Good evening again. Policy 2.20, Medicaid HCBS waiver waiting list was reviewed with no changes recommended. Policy 2.21, non-residential waiting list, also reviewed with no changes. Policy 4.49, dress code, reviewed with no changes recommended. Policy 4.51, employee conflict of interest, was also reviewed with no changes recommended. Policy 4.55, certification, licensure, registration, and permits, also reviewed with no changes recommended. Policy 5.18, transportation, reviewed with no changes recommended. And finally, policy 6.21, breach notification, reviewed with no changes recommended.
Okay, thank you. Now we move to resolutions, which we have several. We're going to take resolutions 12/39/21 and resolution 12/40/21 together, which includes board expenditures for October and November 21. Need motions? Second.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion, Lily?
Good evening, everyone. So for the month of October, we had total local revenues of 2.01 million, total state revenues of 103,000, and total federal of 520,000, giving us total revenues for the month of 2.6 million. We had two payrolls during the month of October of 1.2 million, total benefits paid of 681,000, total other of 381,000, giving us total expenses for the month of 2.27 million. Looking over, down at the bottom, we started with our unencumbered cash at 52.46 million. We had 7.6 million in open purchase orders. Canceled 886,000 in 2020 purchase orders, and a positive year-to-date variance of 14.9 million, giving us 60.64 million, minus our reserve balance of 10 million of 50.64 million in unencumbered cash at the end of October. Our year-to-date variance, we'll look at the year-to-dates. We have 54.9 million in year-to-date revenue, which is 108% of what we've expected to receive. 39.6 million in expenditures, which is 76% of what we expected to spend. Looking over on the far right, our available budget, mostly made up of personnel expenses of 5.27 million in available budget at the end of the month. Looking at November, we had total local revenues of 258,000, total state revenues of 341,000, and total federal of 624,000, giving us total revenues of 1.2 million. Looking at our just the year-to-date variances here for November, we do have we see an increase in our real estate tax. We also had a workers' comp claim that we weren't expected to receive, and then cost report settlements down in the federal section that we didn't receive in 2020. Looking down at our expenses, we had 1.2 million in wages. With we also had 2 payrolls during the month. Total benefits of 192,000 and total other expenses of 5.4 million. We did pay 4.9 million in labor match and administrative fees. Looking at the bottom here, unencumbered cash, again, 52.46 million. We had 2.2 million in open purchase orders. And then again, 886,000 in 2020 purchase orders that were canceled. 9.3 million in a positive financial position, giving us 60.49 million. Again, our reserve balance of 10 million, leaving us with 50.49 million at the end of November. Looking at our year-to-date budget versus actual, we have 56.1 million, which is 110% of what we expected to receive. Total expenses of 46.8 million, which is 88% of what we expected to spend. Our target is about 86%. Our available budget, again, mostly made up of personnel, but kind of distributed with other just unspent budget, 3.9 million at the end of November. Looking at our carryover encumbrance report, we had 1.1 million in 2020 POs carried over, 255,000 that were paid, 886,000 that were canceled at the end of November. So we have $0 in 2020 POs open as of November. Now, resolution 123921. You can see our 2 payrolls there, and nothing to note out of either of those payrolls, just normal payrolls. And then our non-payroll, we find a breakdown of 1.04 million. Looking at resolution 124021, again, we had 2 payrolls. Again, nothing to note out of either of those payrolls. And we had non-payroll expenses. You can see the waiver match was paid in the first week of November at 5.6 million for November. So if there are no questions, requesting approval for resolutions 123921 and 124021.
Questions? All in favor of the resolutions, say aye.
Aye.
Will say nay. No abstentions. Financials for October, November. The resolution 124121 approves the 2022 final budget. Any motion? Second.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion.
Thank you again. So we have just a short presentation for our 2022 final budget. If you remember back in June, there weren't a lot of changes from 2021 going into 22, but here's just the breakdown. So for our revenues, our local revenues, we always expect an increase in excess costs from the districts, but otherwise expect to remain flat. Other than that increase we usually see in real estate collections. The state expected also remain flat for 22. And federal cost report settlements will decrease due to privatization. We won't see those large settlements that we have in the past going forward. As far as our expenses go, things we always budget for, wage benefits increasing for staff, $1 million for issuance of new waivers. So again, looking into the future a little bit more, expected increase again in real estate based on our historical data. And then again, our cost reports that we won't see going forward as well. And then we expect to see, as we move on through the years, insurance increases, employee rate increases, as well as new waivers. We will see a loss in that enhanced FMAP rate when the national emergency ends. Right now, it's supposed to end in March. They could extend it, so we'll see what happens. So this, which you're usually used to seeing, is cash balance forecast, but what we've done is we have a line, which is the blue line, where our cash balance forecast is 100% of our budget. So if we were to spend, which is our goal, 97% of our budget, you can see that our cash would increase. So we kind of just wanted to put that up there. You never spend 100% of your budget. So when we look forward to the years and what our balance is going to be, we hope to meet that 97%. Any questions before I get to the resolution? Okay. So we have resolution 124121. You can see our total local revenues of 35.5 million, total state revenues of 6.4 million, and total federal of 7.26 million, giving us total estimated revenues of 49.15 million. We have total expenditures of just under 56 million, and we expect our expenditures to exceed our revenues by 6.8 million. Now, if you look down bottom toward the bottom there, we expect to end this year with just under 60 million. Taken into consideration that negative 6.8, we expect to end next year with around 53.1 million. Looking at the capital fund, again, no activity here for probably 2021 or 22, but we do have a cash balance of 14,384 sitting there. Same thing for the Cohen gifts and donations. We have 125,450 sitting there. If there are no questions, requesting approval of 124121.
No further discussion, all in favor of approving the resolution for the 2022 final budget, say aye. Aye. No, say nay. No abstentions, resolution is approved. The resolution 124221 approved the 2022 neon budget. Need a motion?
Please.
Second,
Beverly, seconds.
thank you. Any discussion, please?
Thank you again. So 124221 is to approve our 2022 plan budget for Neon. So as always, we budget for our family support services at 212,000. Total other financing sources in a resolution we'll see here in a few minutes to transfer 400,000 there, giving them total revenues at Neon of 612,000. Total expenditures mostly made up of, again, family support services. So total expenses of 603,000. We estimate that the revenues will just exceed the expenses by 9,000, and we expect to end next year with about 856,000 in cash in Neon. There are no questions. Requesting approval of 124221.
All in favor of the resolution, say aye. Aye. Say nay. No abstentions, that resolution is approved. Moving to resolution 124321, approves transfer of funds to Neon. I need a motion.
Beverly,
Second,
Second.
thank you. Discussion.
Thank you. So resolution 124321 is to transfer $400,000 to Northeast Ohio Network for the payment of our board obligations. So again, Neon, a regional council of governments, was founded in 1996. And you can see that the 6 counties listed there that are part of Neon. And the county board respective communities through agency cooperation, collaboration, and coordination. And we expect for our board obligations for Neon going into 2022 would be paying for local funding and supported living, administration, and invoice payment, as well as the family support services, which makes up a lot of that for administration and invoice payment as well. If there are no questions, requesting approval of resolution 124321.
All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
No say nay. No abstentions. Resolution is approved. Resolution 124421 for non-federal sheriff services required for 2022 Medicaid expenditures.
He moves.
Second. Thank you. Discussion from you.
Thank you again. So resolution 124421 is to pay the non-federal share of our 2022 Medicaid expenditures as required by the Ohio Revised Codes listed. So as we just approved in the 2022 budget, an appropriation of $23.35 million to pay our labor match obligations, which also includes our administrative fees. This represents our ongoing financial commitment to the Stark County Board of DD and to those we serve. If there are no questions, requesting approval of resolution 124421.
Any further questions? All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
No say nay. No abstentions. Resolution is approved. Moving to resolution 124521. Boards provider financial assistance program.
I'll second.
Thank you. Great discussion.
Thank you. This resolution is looking to continue our financial support of the provider community. You will see that the board has taken several actions to support the provider community during the COVID pandemic, which includes the leasing of our Stark DD employees, providing technical assistance, purchasing supplies, and making PPE available when possible. We have also reimbursed qualified providers for their room and board expenses, as well as their company-based longevity add-on during the 2021 year. To support our provider community, we would like to continue these efforts into 2022, but also be mindful that we are prohibited from using these monies for paying of any type of stipends or rates to cover hourly wages, salaries, or overtime costs, as that may be seen supplementing the Medicaid rate. The board is and will continue to assist providers with conducting background checks and database checks. And we also assist in the recruitment of an alternative workforce based upon guidance from the board received by the DOE.
How much did we spend last year? Or did we do the same thing last year?
In what part?
Yeah, we did, for the competency-based add-on, we actually reimbursed $50,000, which was approved in 2021. We hadn't spent a lot as far as PPE and things go, and in 2021 as much as we did in 2020. But in 2021, we did make a provider payment through DODD, but it was locally $1.2 million.
And what this $50,000 does do is just in order to get the competency and longevity add-on, the DSP does have to complete 60 hours of training, and the private provider has no way to bill for those hours. So many providers were making do that unpaid, which was inhibiting their ability to complete the training, which would then qualify them for a $1 an hour raise through the
Question, thank you. Any other questions? If none, all in favor of the resolution 124521, say aye. Aye. Or say nay. No abstentions, the resolution is approved. Last resolution for second readings, or resolution 124621 includes next year's service contracts. Any motion? Second. Thank you. Discussion from me.
Thank you. This is the last one. Resolution 124621 to approve the service contracts that we know of right now between January 1 of 22 and December 31st of 22. So I won't list them all, but you can see some of the things that we've had going on. Epic Project Search to not exceed $75,000. We have our Stark County Sheriff's Department contract. We also have some information technology contracts, including our copier maintenance, our learning management system, our payroll management system, as well as Britco. We also have all other listed under all other, our contract with Neon to pay the things that we went over in the previous resolution for family support services, and that's not to exceed $900,000. Our annual Ohio Association of County Boards dues to not exceed 90. And then we have A1 background checks, and then, of course, our contract with the workshops that goes through 2023, and we don't expect that to exceed $257,000 for 2022. Any questions on any of these contracts?
No further questions?
For number two, the sheriff's department, is that for wages and salary? How does that work?
Yeah, that's for the sheriff's deputy that we keep on site that assists with the MUIs.
Okay,
Yes, and that is just a reimbursement for his wages.
so he doesn't get any wages from the Stark County Department? I mean,
He gets paid through the sheriff's office and then we reimburse.
I see, okay.
Yes.
Okay, any further questions or discussion? All in favor of the resolution, say aye. Say nay. No abstentions. Resolution is approved. Move on to second reading of board policies presented at the October board meeting. Will be presented by Con.
Policies 3.03 lockout tagout program and policy 4.56 table of organization were both reviewed with no changes recommended. Policy 5.10 preschool program discipline did have a small revision to clarify that suspensions and removals are only used on a limited basis. Policy 5.12 wellness was reviewed with no changes. Policy 5.15 suspensions, emergency removals for adults with DD, did have a revision to clarify that corrective action can occur, which may result in suspension or emergency removals on a very limited basis and only for health and safety. Policies 5.16 administration and education, 5.23 employment first, and policy 5.28 food services illness reporting were all reviewed with no changes recommended.
Thank you. That brings us to resolution 12.721. Provides approval for board policies presented for second reading. Any motion? A second. Thank you. Any further discussion on the second reading of policies? If not, all in favor of the resolution, say aye. Or say nay. No abstentions. Board policies are approved. Okay, we now have scheduled executive session to discuss performance evaluation of the superintendent. Need a motion to go into executive session. A second. We will take no action after the executive session. If anyone chooses to stay, except if chooses not to stay, please seek and seek. We need roll call vote. Go into executive session. Jim Anderson. Falco Lane.
Yes.
Ray Healy.
Yes.
Jennifer Moss.
Yes.
Arlene Smith.
Yes.
Cindy Sutter.
Yes.
Dan Sutter. Yes. We are now into executive session at 6:44. It's Tuesday, January 26th from now. Happy holiday season, safe, and that I now need a motion to adjourn.
Katie moves.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Or say nay. Abstentions, we are adjourned at 7:19.
I heard like holiday spirit.